Good evening, good afternoon. My name is Tatiana Koval, and this is podcast Happy at Work. In our podcast, we discuss the different topics which connected with the very important topic for me, employee happiness. We try to use the power of happiness for changing world of work. And today, with our guest, we will discuss my favorite topic, happiness and leadership. Today, our guest is Sophia from Nairobi, Kenya. Hi, Sophia.
Hi, Tatiana. It's so lovely to connect. Thank you.
Sophia, my first question, as usual, please, could you introduce yourself to our audience? Because I think this is the first, but I hope not the last time when they have possibilities to hear you.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I am Sophia Waweru, and I believe we are all out here to be better versions of ourselves. Through that, I identified a gap where there's not many conversations about happiness, and I decided to own up that space by being a happiness global speaker, a happiness leadership self-mastery coach, and have a foundation that is focusing on happy news. So the world, we were all born with light, but somehow along the way, we tend to focus on the darkness. And I believe there's so much light. So I'm currently focusing on having corporate and group coaching in organizations, planning meeting with people and focusing on happiness because it's the main reason we are here. So it's about us being the best versions of ourselves every day. So I'm a happy human who is so happy to be hosted by Tatiana on this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. And my first question is for you. What is happiness for you as a person and as professional?
I love that. Happiness to me is about being present in the moment, really grounded in this moment and maximizing my capacity with every resource I'm exposed to. So one thing about happiness is it's right here. It's right here with us. This moment I'm talking to Tatiana, but most of the times you want to focus on the past, which causes us stress, or the future, which causes us anxiety. So by learning to be grounded and working on atomic habits where you have a routine, we are creatures of habits. So if you can master, now coming to the corporate space, if you can master high maximum productivity in your workplace, doing things that you love from a perspective of Ikigai, doing what you love, and it's getting you paid and you're serving your community, that is a very fulfilling life.
Mm-hmm. When we talk about happiness in the context of work, from the perspective of leaders, from the perspective of employees, from the perspective of HR, how do you think, what is the best way to talk about happiness in this context? Because sometimes people who work in business say happiness, it's not about work, it's about private life. What does the happiness in the context of work means for you from a different perspective?
Thank you for that. I think my first starter point would be from an employee perspective. It's about the employee engagement. How do they feel about their job satisfaction and high morale? So as HR and employees engage every day, how do we check for that? Are there employee surveys that support that? The employee net promoter score? Because the first customer you have as an organization is your employee. Because if your employee is not happy, there is no way they will deliver the best results for your main customer. So it's about understanding that the more you maximize on ensuring your employees are at a good state, the more results you will have for your company. And this will build a positive work culture. And how you get to do this is through creativity and collaboration. Can the team members feel like they have a sense of ownership in the company where they work, as well as having a space where they are getting to really grow? So is there business growth? How do you ensure there's business continuity in a sustainable manner?
You mentioned Ikigai. I think it's very, very important for all of us to find our Ikigai. For you, what company could make for people to help them to find the Ikigai and to understand how their current job helps them to be in the mind of the Ikigai?
One thing about opportunities, I was once working with a founder who always would say that talent is universal, opportunity is not. So it's about aligning everything in the company to people's strongholds. So I will use myself as an example. The first time I joined an organization, I joined as a sales trainee. That's an internship. But because this was a company that had so many opportunities, I got to evolve every year with a new position because the opportunities were provided for me, and that opportunity for growth to deliver the best results in any department that I felt I was suitable for. So it's about empowering the employees with every opportunity that is in the company instead of focusing more on getting resources externally. Can you maximize the potential of the people you have in the team to make sure there's maximum output from them? So aligning that Ikigai, because probably I could be a person who is interested in tech and I would do very well in tech. So if there are internal trainings where there is learning and development for me to be a better person in exploring technology and working for the company at the same time, it leaves me at a very happy place where I'm satisfying my worldly desire of being a techie person, as well as earning a good living while at it and getting to grow.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you personally when we talk about happiness, because I have different questions for you and about happiness. What is your favorite exercise to improve your happiness?
I'm already excited because that is so home to me. I love dancing because there's just the immediate dopamine, endorphins, all energy the moment you just move your body. So I'm a big advocate for move your body. Even when I'm doing workshops, before I even start, people have to stand and just move your body. It has a way of grounding you back to the present moment and give the best at that moment. The other way I love doing it is through yoga. You know, when you're moving your body, it's also a way of moving your body and in a meditative way. It's so expansive and really makes you get to know what your creative genius is. Because as the world is revolving around, it's so easy to move by the wind. So when you learn to sit still, solitude, silence, you get to maximize so much from within. So I would say dancing, and I swim too. But yeah, dancing takes the day because it takes very less effort and I don't need to find a pool. I just stand and move my body.
I remember like I visited one of the conference about happiness, and there was research. He said that the best what you can do for your happiness is dancing. You're absolutely right. And here in Brazil also I see a lot of people who like dancing and I like it also. I think it's a good idea to use dance maybe in an office, make 5 minutes for dancing for people who want to move. It's very, to me, it's very good idea. It improves your happiness. It helps and improve your health also.
Oh, yes.
Happiness and health in one moment. Sophia, my next questions for you is about some specific. How could you promote and implement the topic of happiness in Kenya? Because I talk with people from absolutely different countries, with absolutely different cultures. Maybe you make a short explanation about work culture in your country. I think that not all the people who will hear this podcast know about it. For example, I know what one type of culture we have in USA, and I met with experts from USA, and we discussed the hardworking environment. Also, like United Arab Emirates, I met with people from Europe. Where here we have in our type of work environment, I think more people oriented in terms of life-work balance. And so in Latam here, for example, in Brazil, we have third type of culture. What is about Kenya? What is about maybe other countries with which you work? What is the corporate culture job, and how with topic of happiness you could promote, and what is the main goals for you to promote this topic? Because it depends on culture, we have different focuses.
Thank you for that. I think I would start with the long-term goal. So everyone is tied to their long-term goal. And the best way, I have been a manager and a leader for 7 years. And what I have done every time is understanding a person's why. So by using the 5 technique, where you ask 5 whys until you get to the root cause analysis of understanding my why. Why am I working for your company? Why am I here? So the moment you do that, you get aligned to a common goal, because it motivates the employee, because they feel, oh, this is actually personal, because their goal might be even to buy a car. So they're working because they want to buy a car. So it becomes very easy to align other goals where we have the objective key results and the KPIs, because this employee has good understanding that if I attain my KPIs and my OKRs, I have an opportunity to grow by a particular percentage on what I am earning. So making it a very there's that unison of ensuring that we are both chasing the same thing at the end of the day. It doesn't feel like I have to report to work to show up for my employer, but there is something I'm gaining at the end of the day. So it's a very mutual addition of value to everyone at the end of the day. The other part is on the awards and the recognition. People have a way with being appreciated. People feel really valued when they are offered that opportunity. And the best way to approach that is, sometimes we're so focused on pressing where we feel things are not being done. So someone might be doing 90% or 80% things the right way, but then you focus on the 20% and you totally miss out on the 80%, which would be amazing if you started there, so that the employee feels really valued and they're actually delivering results. Then share the room for improvement in a very empathetic way. So it comes to open communication, because so many things go wrong in the space of communication. So can we be there to listen with compassion and empathy by understanding where the employee is coming from, then offering actionable steps that they can follow, and they end up taking ownership and accountability of their results. So they get celebrated for being there to deliver the best results at the end of the day. The other part would be on the work-life harmony. Most people call it work-life balance, but I prefer to call it harmony, because the goal is to live a calm and peaceful life. So how do you harmonize the two? As an employer, you are open to flexible working arrangements where you're very supportive of the employee and upon request, because always understanding that humanity comes first. Something might be going wrong at their homes. So extending that grace by understanding, why is this employee performing like this today? And it goes a long way to involve yourself in a caring manner that the employee really opens up. So you might be in the middle of giving them criticisms and feedback at a very trying moment in their life, not knowing they're actually nursing a sick child. And there are ways to extend grace in such situations, at the same time get to deliver the results that are expected for the company.
Mm-hmm. May I ask you about culture of feedback? because in different countries you have a different culture. For example, in Latam, usually with straight feedback or critics, it's not good for people. It have a huge demotivation. For our countries, so like example, CIS countries, and a lot of countries, people could work with straight feedback or critics and look at this like a possibility for improvement. And also, for example, in the USA, what is about your country? What is the best way to give people feedback? What at one time from one side you have a space for improvement, and from other side we motivate for improvement and not demotivate the person with our feedback.
I think the best approach would be something I've been there to use in the past. It's the LOX model, where you first listen to understand, because sometimes we like being listened to, but we miss listening to the other party. So I would say first listen to understand, then observe, because through observing, it gives you an opportunity to get to the options, and the options helps you to see what is the best way for me to influence the results. And remember, at the end of the day, is to deliver the results that are set, and we all have different approaches, but the best approach is always to understand where the employee is coming from. So as you're communicating what needs to be said, how about checking on the options that are available on that, then get to close and follow up on where is the room for improvement. And it's also a style of coaching. So I think most people prefer a culture of coaching where I go do what is expected of me, then I come back, or if there is need for the person to reach out, they reach out, you support them, but then of the day they are getting to take full ownership and accountability of the results that they're delivering. Because at the end of the day, every employee wants to feel valued, and they want to feel, I actually did that.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you about leadership model. Which leadership model now is popular, and how is it changed during the past 2-3 years, especially after hard pandemic time?
Correct. And I think to that point, what comes top of mind for me is how there is a shift on most of the employees right now are the younger generation. So having a millennial approach in leadership, where there is a lot of accommodation on people valuing Ikigai. People want to live a life that is fulfilling, and they feel they're serving their purpose every day. So where there's a shift into that, it gets very supportive of them. And to come back to allude to what you just mentioned about COVID, people never knew there would be an adaptive way of working from home. That was purely impossible. Everyone had to always show up in the office 8 to 5. But now every employer is saying, wait a minute, there are actually employees who are super productive because they are working from home, because they get to prioritize their health. I always call it the 2020 success formula. It's by Robin Sharma. It's about owning your morning and elevating your life. So if I have an opportunity to wake up early and fill my cup, because you can never give from an empty cup. And what happens most of the times, if I am working from the office, I barely have time to do anything for myself. I wake up and freshen up real quick and rush to beat traffic to get to work. But now with the freedom of working from home, I can wake up at a good time, take my morning walk, or go to the gym, listen to a good podcast like Tatiana's, or get to journal. I can get to meditate. There's so much to do. And then I settle into my morning slowly and have the highest productive day because I've already filled my cup. So it's the best thing that could have happened in that adaptability. And again, adding to technology has made life so easy. We can see, you're in another continent and I am here, and we are having the best impact in the world by having a podcast on happiness and leadership. So when you look at the change of times, there's so much to be done. And at the same time, there are also opportunities for meeting like quarterly or have those annual parties where you're getting to meet, because again, there need to be that team cohesion. And I have attended a couple of those in different companies. So ensuring that the team still sticks together. And because of the company growth, sometimes there are new employees, and it might be a bit tough for them to learn about the company culture and feel like they belong. So that is the most affected aspect as of now on that company cohesion and the company culture. It might be more of I'm showing up for my work and that is it. So I think that is the part that employers and organizations need to be more intentional on. As much as we are working virtually, can we intentionally plan physical meetings at some point? Yeah, I think that is what I would share on that aspect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. My next question is about empathic leadership. We have a lot of discussion how to use empathy as leaders for better understanding the needs of our subordinates, of our team. What is your advice for leaders? How we could improve the skills of empathy?
I attended, it was actually a training for senior HR leaders on how to approach the aspect of listening. So sometimes we talk a lot. As a leader, you might find you're talking the whole time. And as mean as it might sound, sometimes it's just good to shut up. That is how the instructor put it, no sugarcoating it. There's power in listening, because when you're listening, there's so much that is being said, and then appreciate the feedback. Say thank you for that information and take a minute to think about it, then work on a strategy and come back. That's where the empathy applies. When you're coming back as a voice of reason and logic. And there are 5 influencing factors that I use for leadership. Based on the environment that you're in, you determine which one to use. So if I might remember a few, there's like assertiveness, there's compromise, there's logic, there's likability, and assertiveness. So depending on what is happening, you know when to use logic or when to use compromise, because sometimes we use assertiveness where actually an employee needs to be felt, and that is where you actually use also charisma also applies. So about understanding and reading the environment, and leaders, we are gifted, so you can always read the environment and know what works best for this environment. But the only way you can learn is by sitting back. Sometimes you sit back and observe. So much happens when you observe. I once had a manager who we would go to the market together and he would say nothing. He would just stand at a corner of the market and just observe. And he would come back and do a really, really amazing report about the market, and just by the power of observation. So I would say we'll be more of a generation that listens more, and you make your conversations impactful by stepping back and working on that to come back with a very strategic point of view.
Mm-hmm. My next question is about challenges and barriers which the company and leaders or HR could meet on the way for improving employee happiness. What challenges you saw on your way while you are promoting the idea of employee happiness? And maybe you have any ideas how to overcome these barriers.
I like that. I think one of the challenges is that you all want to grow, and sometimes Not everyone wants to grow. Some employees join the company with only one goal. They just want their money, their check, and that's it. So working on that part of employee engagement through surveys to understand why is actually the employee working with you. So how can you improve their environment better? So probably one, they are more interested in the skills and development that they can earn from this environment. So it's about having a very diverse system that supports each and every employee in a way that they feel valued. I think we all have different priorities at the end of the day, but sometimes there's always a meeting point. So it's about improving the systems on the learning and development. And there's always that part about hiring fast and firing fast. So, some things are over and beyond you, because you might, as I've mentioned, you might get someone in the team, but they actually don't want to be there. So if you can learn that at a very short time and adjust accordingly, the better. Because if you're not aligned, and I will use value systems, there's nothing as powerful as value systems. So are the people you're hiring aligned with the same values as you? So for instance, for me, my value system is fairness, authenticity, and integrity. So at the team members that I'm working with, do we hold the same values? Because if that is not the case, obviously we will be having issues. There might be issues of fraud with customers. And the moment you identify that with such employees, you have to make those tough decisions as a leader and implement as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm. One thoughts I usually discuss with different leaders and also with employees. They said, happiness, that means give me more money and I will happy. I usually have a lot of discussion about it, especially with people on different levels of organization in different countries. Do you have any arguments for leaders, for employees about discussion the topic of happiness in terms of material life? What is the best way for be happy in the situation? It's part of material life, a part of money, in how to use it right way, and also what else very, very important for our happiness. I'm interested to know your point of view on this topic.
The alignment that comes from the word goals. So how are the goals set? How are the objectives set? What agreement do we have from the word goal? And how does the employer get to honor that? And getting back to my time in 2016, when I started employment, I got into a startup which was growing very, very fast. There were so many opportunities. So my manager told me, you have to sell this specific amount of revenue for 3 months consecutively. And by doing that, you will automatically be a manager. You will be provided with a couple of resources. You'll have your own car, so many allowances. And I was like, cool, let's do it. And I went ahead and attained that. So I came back 3 months later and asked my boss, you said if I do this and this, then I will get this. And they were like, yes, we're actually hiring a new manager. So as soon as he gets here, you will get that. And he reported in 2 weeks' time. We went to a field trip together and he saw my work and he was like, you have earned your role. So it's yours for you to take. And that was the journey year on, because they're set deliverables and you work on them enthusiastically because you're doing exactly what you love doing and you are enjoying it and you're getting compensated for that. So it takes two. So if the conversation happens from the word go, it becomes very easy to attain the set goals and the long-term strategy. Because from the interview process, I told my boss that I will be here to see this company grow to the best it can to the next 5 years. And that is what happened. I grew with the company every year, holding a different role, earning way better. By the time I was leaving, I was earning 60 times better from the point I joined. And it's because of that collaborative entity on strategy and attaining the company goals. So if the employer, it comes from a lot of support from the employer, because most employees, they are ready. Everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants to be a better version of themselves. So it's about the system being supportive of that growth. And it's doable. I believe in abundance. I live by abundance, because the other approach is on gratitude attracts abundance. The more you're thankful for in life, the more you get into your share. And it's the law of attraction. I'm big on the law of attraction. If you really want something, the whole of the universe conspires to help you achieve that. So what I'm currently doing in my happiness talks in the corporate space is sharing that aspect of there is a lot, because what happens a lot in the company space, obviously because of the limit in the budget and resources, there is the scarcity mindset. And once there's that scarcity mindset, it's so hard to achieve what you want to, because at the end of the day, companies want to make profits. But if the approach is scarcity, how will that ever happen? Because there has to be an expansive mindset. As we deliver results, we have to make our employees happy. But you'll find there's that catch-22 where the company wants to make profits at the expense of employees. So employees are not well compensated, but so much expectation has been set. So in the space of abundance, I believe there is everything for everyone. And there are companies who are really prioritizing that. I've seen a company that literally has even gym packages for the employees. They have mental wellness talks. There is already therapy if you need someone to talk to. It's those little things that make employees deliver the best results. And that is the journey of happiness. It's about the body, mind, heart, and soul. How am I growing intellectually? That is the mind aspect. My heart, how are my relationships? How is the company culture? Am I stressed by my colleagues, or do I actually look forward to getting from my vacation to get back and interact with my fellow colleagues? That aspect goes a long way in building that aspect of me being a full human. Like, am I whole to deliver? So how is my cup filled? Do I feel like I am in a position to deliver the best results? And the only way I can do that is if my cup is full. And I salute companies that are doing that. And that is the future and the present. It's the only way we can do it from here going forward.
When you are talking about what you love, really your time is flying. This is a flow for us, above of us. So we are closer to the end of the time. And I have a last question for you. Sophia, what is 3 main advice from you to leaders of the companies who want to implement happiness as an idea for their corporate culture?
I love that question, because that is where the change begins. The change begins from where the power is. So one, I would start by saying there's something in Africa that we call Ubuntu. I am because you are because I am. So we are each other's tapestry. So the moment you understand that I am human, and at the end of the day, I'm working with humans, how do I make it a better narrative? When you think about it from that aspect, you think about compassion and you think about abundance. Because if I am delivering the best results, or I am supporting my team to deliver their maximum potential, then we will all be great at the end of the day, because I will be living my value, and also my employees will be living their values, and the company benefits because there will be maximum results at the end of the day. So that is one, understanding that aspect of empathy and compassion. It's what makes all the change. It's what makes the change between good leaders and bad leaders. So that is one. The other aspect would be listening. There's so much that goes into listening. When you listen, you get to learn anything and everything. We as leaders feel sometimes entitled that we know what needs to happen, but so much power goes into listening. Sometimes the person who is on the ground has a better exposure to what you're working on. So that flexibility and willingness to be a servant, because leadership is about being a servant. It's about serving the community, the organization, to be better. So it's less about you and more about the environment. It's not about I did, it's about we did. The team actually delivered the results. So that is a great aspect. Sorry, I hope I'm back.
Yes.
Amazing. Sorry about that. Yes. So I was sharing that aspect of leaders being more on the listening part. And the third aspect would be empowering teams. As a leader, am I working on the skills and development to make my team better or my employee better? So both can coexist. We can deliver the best results for the company as we get to empower them to be a better version of themselves. So we hold so much power as leaders, and it takes a team. You can't be a leader just by yourself. No leader is an island. So it's about that aspect of human tapestry.
Sophia, thank you for your time. Thank you for your ideas, which you shared with our audience from absolutely different continents and different countries. I hope it could be really useful for them. For me, it was very, very interesting. There are a lot of things I really also like. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Tatiana. I've really appreciated this podcast.
This is podcast Happy at Work. I'm Tatiana Koval. Stay in touch and change a world of work using the power of happiness.